Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another edition of the show. On the other end of the Zoom line, whether it's this way or that way, I don't know how he's coming across. Kirk is here as well. What's going on, my friend?
Hey,
Kirk, how are you? So
doing good, man.
we're going to kind of do a part two to our Shadow episode that you guys just saw recently, but also, more importantly, this episode is mostly about Justice Inc. So we got more DC stuff coming up here. So as I promised in the last video, I'm going to show you some of my Shadow Bantam books. Okay, so here we got the Death Tower. I just got done reading this one, actually. Yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Do you have any of these?
I have the Death Tower, but I haven't read it since I was like 18. I got to go back and read these.
Here we got the Living Shadow.
Oh, I like that cover.
Dude, I bought the whole set from someone for like $30.
Can't beat that.
No, I belong to a Doc Savage Facebook page, and everybody's always talking about, pulp characters and mostly Doc Savage. And some guy was like, "Yeah, I'm selling off my Shadow collection. Anybody interested, PM me." And I was like, I sent him a message. I'm like, "How much you want for me?" He goes, "Give me $30. They're yours." I'm like, "Yes, indeed." We got the Eyes of the Shadow.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. Sometimes just even looking at the covers, man. I gotta say, these old covers.
They're well done, right? Yeah. Here's the Shadow Laughs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is a very cool cover, also, the Ghost Makers.
Oh, that is cool.
Wait do you see this one? Hidden Death.
Yeah.
Now here, he's got his whole face is showing. That's
different.
Something's wrong there, right? And in fact, on the next one too, Gangdam's Doom, it looks like his whole face is showing there too. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's weird. That's different.
I have to. I want to get some of those Avenger books as well. Those are out there. You can get those as well.
Yeah.
All right. With that, Kirk's got some more Shadow stuff to show, and then we'll launch into Justice Inc.
Yeah, when we're talking, I remembered I just literally got these like 2 days ago because I was going through my Shadow books, and then I realized like I wanted a better copy of #1 I had, so I upgraded that to like a near mint copy for my collection. And I was like looking around, and I realized I always liked the crossovers with Batman, but I didn't realize, and I was out of comic collecting for a couple of years, and this came out during that period, so there was a crossover between the Shadow and Batman. Dynamite and DC did a bunch of books. And then I just got them. I found a dealer. He sold them to me $1 a book.
That's a great cover. I love that.
Yeah. Isn't that?
Nice. So what year were these published in?
These were, I think, 2006. No, not 2000. Yeah, about 2006, I believe.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, there's multiple covers, which kind of irritates me sometimes because I'm like, do a good cover. Why do we need 6 covers of the same book?
Yeah, well, that's the trend, though, man. All these variant covers, it's crazy. That's pretty sweet.
They ended up doing 2 of these sets. It only kills me is one of the books. I'm missing the 6th book on the 2nd set, I believe. But you do what you can. And as I said, the guy was just like blowing them out. He was giving me a really good deal on them. So I was like, and he told me he didn't have it. I was kind of like, all right, I'll hunt the final one down. But and this one kind of reminds me a little bit of the old books because you got the bad emblem, but it's kind of cool. I like not a lot of detail. I can't tell you how good they are, but I got to say, I think Dynamite does a great job. Since being locked up in the house, I bought a couple of things from Dynamite, and I really kind of like the stuff I'm reading from them.
Wow, cool.
They were the ones that kind of got me back into Justice Inc., which is what we're going to talk about next. Justice Inc. is, again, another pulp character. It's the Avenger. No relation to the British TV show or the Marvel Comics Avengers.
Right.
This is just, it's sometimes told, like people say, by the creator of Doc Savage. You'll see it written there actually on the first issue. technically a lie.
Okay, so no Lester Dent or Kenneth Robeson anywhere to be found.
That's the problem. Lester Dent is the guy who wrote Doc Savage, basically. This was written by Paul Ernest. He actually got the idea for this because he met with Walter Gibson and Lester Dent to come up with this. So they all these guys sat down and they were like, because at this point the Pulp characters were really big and they were trying to get another huge hit because Doc Savage was doing fantastic and The Shadow was doing fantastic. So they were like, hey. So they ended up getting Paul Ernest and they said, we want you to write a character, but we want it to be the next like Doc Savage. So he met with them and he came up with the idea for the Avenger. The problem was he's sometimes referred to as the last great pulp hero because he was created just as pulps were starting to fade out.
So probably right before Batman and Superman popping into,
yeah, they were coming up and these guys were going down. He's an interesting character in the aspect that, like, he's, you know, when these guys, his wife and daughter are murdered, which I gotta say is kind of a rough way to start with. They killed a kid. I'm always a little like, oh, don't kill the kid, but but they kill his family, and that's what kind of, and he has some sort of emotional break, and his face gets frozen. So that's why he's all pale and everything. It's interesting because in a later book, somebody mentions the fact that kind of like a zombie at this point, because he, like, his face is frozen, and but he can meld it. He molds it into different faces, and so he's the man of 1,000 faces as well. And he wears wigs, and he pushes his face all around. And then
that's pretty interesting for the time period when you think about it, right?
Yeah, that was his big thing. Was like he could fake it, anybody. So he just, you know, move his face around and become mush, and so it's kind of an interesting thing. Again, DC bought the rights to this character in the early 70s, and they were going to do a run with this as well as The Shadow. This did not do well. Only 4 issues were ever released. The first issue, as you can see, is done by Joe Kubert, who I loved. I loved his Hawkman and stuff. Great, you know, classic artist. The interior art is good. It's not, you know, it's, I'm trying to remember who did the original art here. It was done by, because Denny O'Neill's the writer again. Denny O'Neill, amazing. Yeah, this is Al McWilliams. Obviously, yeah, he went far in the field. But anyways, no offense. He's doing better in the comic industry than I am. So he did the first issue. By the time the second issue rolls on, I guess they were done with Al. But the interesting part is the replacement was an interesting choice, and a lot of people forget that he did this book. It was Jack Kirby. Kirby comes in.
Wow.
Now, again, I don't know if Kirby's work is really a good fit for this character. I mean, you know, he's working with his usual, what's his name, Rosen? Yeah, Mike Royer. He's working with Mike Royer, and so the interior looks almost like something out of a New Gods book. It's you know, but they're based on the actual pulp thing. So Denny O'Neill's writing. They're built on the different pulp stories, so they're pretty good. He's like Doc Savage in the fact that he has his band of guys who he collects. We only got to issue 4, so there wasn't a lot of time to collect people. But not a bad run. And again, you can get them pretty cheap. These books aren't that expensive. If you're a fan of Kirby, my advice, yeah, get them. If you like pulp characters, get them. The stories are dated, so that's it. He did, like, the one thing, you know, he carries a knife and a gun with him that he calls Mike and Ike. Don't ask me. I didn't write this stuff. And the interesting thing is, like, you know, he shoots a lot, like the Shadow, but actually, like Doc Savage, he doesn't kill anybody.
Okay.
He always shoots him. He just nicks him off the temple of the head and knocks everybody out.
So he's a real good shot then, in other words.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Amazing shot. But the interesting thing is, at the end of every story, the villain, whoever it is, ends up dying anyways. And he's like, well, justice is served, you know? So again, kind of like, I didn't do it, but you still ended up dead. So be it. They only lasted, as you can see, this cover makes me laugh because you got people being turned into crazy monsters by a formula. Very Kirby monster cover, so it was good. And this is the 4th issue. I like this character, but this character, again, never got a decent break. Dynamite decided to give it a shot, too. And I thought they were smart to push this character. They started a Justice Inc. miniseries with the Doc Savage and the Shadow teaming up with him.
Wow.
So this deals with him getting his becoming the Avenger, but it also deals with these two characters, all 3 of them working together. So
that must be pretty terrific.
I'm going to tell you, this book run is totally worth getting. I sometimes will say, oh, new books, I don't know, you know, I'm not always thrilled with what I see coming out of it. And this book is still like 10 years old, so you can get this dirt cheap. I think I paid $1 a book for this set. 6 issues, it's complete. So it's not like something you got to buy 40 crossovers for or whatever. It's great. The cool thing is, all the covers are done by Mike Ross, Alex Rossen, who does a great job on covers. I mean, look at that.
And your girl's on the back.
Oh yeah, there's Vampirella, who I love as well. Let's focus, Kirk. Here, but you can see the stuff is, yeah, Dynamite owns the right to Vampirella. They've been pretty smart. They bought different stuff, different characters, and they've done a lot of good work with them. What I like is the interior art isn't done by Alex Ross, but it's still done. It's pretty good. All right, good art. What I also find interesting about this book is the last page. Right, so maybe not the last page. They give you a breakdown on the book. Like, again, I don't want to spoil anything because I really think this is worth getting for people to read. But they'll run through little Easter eggs that are in the story. Because, again, this is written and in such a way that it respects like all of the previous books. There's a mention of the Shadow and Avenger issue that I mentioned in the last episode when we focused on the Shadow book, is all this cross-referencing of stuff. And so it's kind of cool. And they bring back characters from the novels or the pulp books into this to duke it out with both Doc Savage and the Shadow. So
are Doc's aides in that, or are they not appear in these?
They
really?
have his cousins in this. They're not huge characters in this, but it's still pretty good. And then, as I said, all the covers are amazing in my opinion. I mean, you look at them and you can just, I gotta say,
done. Yeah, that's
you
good.
know, I just love this stuff. And if you check, actually, like you can see they've got the Shadows, you know, sidekicks, and everybody, because everybody had sidekicks in the pulp stories. It wasn't, you know, there was you had I guess associates, business gangs, or whatever you want to call them, working with you. It really wasn't like young teenage boys, which I guess was more socially acceptable. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, some really good stuff. As I said, you know, the interesting thing, this cover here I like is the fact you see the palm print on the side of his head, and that's the Avenger's face kind of, you know, all messed up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there were just great stories. If you like Doc Savage, if you like the Shadow, I think you'll like Justice Inc. The Avenger's a great character. I was bummed out when the book finished because I was kind of like, crap. They tried to reboot it into a regular series or whatever. That went another 6 issues. I do not have that yet. I will be getting it. But then again, it didn't do well again. I don't know. I think this character is just kind of cursed.
Well, you know, I mean, the characters themselves have been around for so long, and they always try to keep the look and feel and the storylines back in, you know, that time period. I just don't know how well that goes over with more modern readers, you know?
Yeah, you've got
Old school
you
guys like us
got
love it, but do the young kids, can they gravitate towards that? I don't know. That's the problem.
I think that is. I think that's what's the kiss of death for a lot of these characters. If you either have a passion for them where you're like, oh, I really love this, and that's not the typical. That's not the norm. It's a hard sell, you know. So I don't think it always works out well for the average guy in the street. So
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, we've talked about the episode of Doc Savage you guys did, and how people like that. And I have to say that's a great character. But it's a character that a lot of people don't know about. He's there's still a lot. He's got a good fan base, but it's not as you hear about Batman, Superman, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, the Doc Savage episode we did is one of the most watched videos on this channel, right? So it almost like goes against what we're saying, but it just goes to show you that among a certain demographic, these older classic pulp characters are still really popular. The problem is trying to cross over that popularity to younger readers and viewers is kind of a challenge, right? Because, a 15-year-old kid today who's been into comics for a few years may have no clue who Doc Savage is yet. Most folks 45, 50 and over, different story.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I'm hopeful for the Doc Savage movie with The Rock. There's been talk about that, and I'm hopeful that goes into production.
So the word is now that is not going to happen, but they're going to. Good news, though, it has been greenlit. I don't know for what network, but a cable network is going to be picking up the Doc Savage and turn it into a series or a mini series. So no Dwayne Johnson, but apparently it's going to, instead of being a movie, it's going to be a mini series or a series. That's the word on the street now. I'd be fine with that because quite frankly, can you tell the Doc Savage story in a 2-hour movie? I don't think so.
No, I agree with you. If they do that well, yeah. I don't know what channel will be running it, but they'll get my money for a subscription or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I hope that they cast Monk better than the original movie, the 70s movie.
Like I said, I've only watched like half of that. It's just. Oof.
I like the movie because I'm such a fan of the character. I own it, but some of the casting in that movie is like especially like Monk and Ham, which are two of the most important characters, right? Got to get those guys right. They didn't. And, Ron Eli as Doc was okay, I guess, but could have been better. But all in all, the movie's kind of goofy fun, but I think it shouldn't have been as campy, in my opinion.
I'm going to say, I get that that's the period at the time. I mean, yeah. I still like Linda Carter as Wonder Woman and stuff. I get that whole 70s kind of feel. But yeah, I'd like a more darker, more updated version of that character. I'd love to see that, So yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed on that.
So we'll see what happens. But anyway, cool stuff. I may have to get some of the Justice Inc. Those issues. I mean, if they're as cheap as you say, that looks right up my alley. The three of them together, yeah. So I'll be doing that. Right. Do they have them at our guys in Texas? Do they carry those, you think?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the updated books are probably running you a little bit more because I got them on a special sale, a COVID sale. But I'll be honest, the old Kirby stuff, yeah, you're only talking $2 or $3 a book. You're not going to spend more than that for them, as I said. Yeah. And I'll take care of the one. So
awesome. Sounds good. All right, man. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for Kirk to showing off some of his cool stuff. Yeah, old school characters, man. Gotta love it. It. So thanks everybody for watching and for subscribing and all that good stuff. We've got much more comic book geezers coming up in the very near future. So look forward to more fun comic mayhem from Wild Bill, Kirk, and myself in the days and weeks ahead. So everybody have a good one, and we'll see you real soon. Take care, my friend.